Hello, anyone willing to watch this? This is LMick91. This is the first YouTube video I ever made, so apologize if it's choppy. Anyway, this is a 2,000 point battle report between my Bretonnians and one of my good friends' Orc Army. We rolled the watchtower scenario, so it's kind of the bane of Bretonnians. So I wasn't really looking forward to trying to catch that tower from him, but we'll see how it goes. I do owe some thanks to both Once Bitten 360 and Mobius Primal on YouTube for the format of these battle reports. They also play Bretonnians, so I guess there's quite a bit of us on YouTube. Go ahead and check out their channels because they have better battle reports and they know what they're doing more than I do. But I figured I'd give it a shot. So anyway, let's get started. So this picture here is the center of my deployment. On the left, I have 35 men-at-arms. Plus a level 2 damsel, Lore of Beasts, with the prayer icon of Canel, which, for those of you who don't know, gives the ability for the men-at-arms unit to have the blessing of the lady. I thought that 35 men-at-arms would have been okay for this, because my opponent here, he's the one I usually play. He usually doesn't take big hordes and stuff, so I figured, that'd be enough. And I also wasn't counting on rolling the watchtowers, so if I could do it again, I would take more men-at-arms, but we'll see how it goes. To the right of them is a 12-man Knight of the Realm unit with my Lord and Battle Standard Bearer. The Lord has Virtue of Heroism, which gives him Heroic Killing Blow, the Heartwood Lance, which lets him reroll failed rolls to wound, as well as the rerollable armor save. What is it called? The Dawnstone. So he has a 2-up rollable armor save. The Battle Standard Bearer just has no magic banner, just a BSB, with a Sword of Might, which is +1 strength, and the Gromril Great Helm, which gives him a 6-up armor save. With rerolls, so he has a 1-up rerollable. Let's see here. To the right of them is a 9-man unit of Grail Knights. They're not painted at all yet, so they're kind of just like a white blob. In the center of them is my level 4 Prophetess with Beasts. She has a Dispel Scroll, and that's about it. Behind them is my Trebuchet. I only took one this game, because I only have one model, and 2 Trebuchets is, kind of cheesy, and I figured I'd put the point somewhere else. Up in the middle in the watchtower, I have 10 bowmen with flaming attacks. I started off with the watchtower, so I've put them in there. In hindsight, maybe it wasn't the best idea. I might have just been able to leave it blank, but I figured I'd at least make them have to work for it a little bit. And up there in those little hexagons are 5 mounted yeomen. We're counting that as a forest, so I vanguarded them up there in the forest, and that's that side of the board. Over here is the left side of my deployment. On the far flank, I have 3 Pegasus Knights. The guy in the middle doesn't have wings. I just like it that way because it makes them easier to rank up. And in the bottom right is 10 more bowmen behind a forest. I just put them there as redirectors and shooting stuff. Opponent's Orc Army, he has on the far left corner there, you can kind of see he has a Rock Lava. And then to the right of that, he has 2 Orc Wolf Chariot or Goblin Wolf Chariots. I'm not sure exactly what they are. It doesn't really matter. 2 of them in a unit. He has 5 Wolf Riders in a squad. In the back there is this big block of Orc Boys. They are all equipped with Hand Weapon Shield. He also has a Black Orc War Boss, a Battle Standard Bearer of some sort, and a level 4 Orc Shaman in there. And so there's his Orc Bus on the left there. Next he has 2 Mangler Squigs, a unit of Night Goblins, which I assume has Fanatics. And to the far right there, you can kind of see that wall. Inside that, we're counting that as a building, and inside of that, he has another unit of Night Goblins. And then in the front middle, this is his first turn charges, actually, so this is a bit after deployment. He charged 5 Wolf Riders into my Mounted Yeoman and lost 1 to a stand and shoot. So on his first turn, I prayed, so he got the first turn. First thing he does is he charges the watchtower with his big block of orcs, like he should. I stand and shot. I think I might have killed 1, but, that doesn't look too hopeful for me. Over here, he just moved his Wolf Riders around to get out of my Pegasus Knight's charge arc, which I thought was pretty smart. He also moved his chariots up to try and block my Pegasus Knights, trying to get to that Rock Lava, which worked out really well. His charge arc was... I couldn't really get out of it on my next movement phase. And his Wolf Riders are now out of my Bowman shot line of sight, which is pretty good for him. Over here, this is his Mangler Squig movement. He moves 1 up into that little section between the watchtower and that forest where my yeomen are to try and block my knights coming through, which is pretty effective. The other Mangler Squig didn't move up too far. This is after combat. It looks like his yeomen his wolf riders totally trashed my mounted yeoman. I think I killed one, but yeah, having all those wolf attacks and his spears on the charge doesn't really do much for me and my mounted yeoman. I didn't give him the shields this match because my plan was to send the mounted yeoman up to the fanatics to release them and maybe land on a Mangler Squig, because those things are just doomed to my knights, but it wasn't meant to be and they were destroyed. Over here on the watchtower, I think this is just another picture of him charging in. And after combat. So, as you can see, his big orc bust totally decimated my bowman. I think I might have killed a couple, but it didn't matter. I was hoping to at least have one guy left and be steadfast, rerollable, and all that jazz, but it didn't happen. So he is now in control of the watchtower with his 50 orcs and their accompanying hero units. So now it goes to my turn, Bretonnian turn 1. So I go ahead and move my Pegasus Knights over to the right to try and block his Wolf Riders from attacking my bowmen. The reason I did this is, and not instead of just go for his Rock Lob, is because no matter where I went with the Pegasus Knights, he would have a fairly easy charge with his chariots, and I was kind of afraid of all those impact hits getting me, so I figured that could wait for a turn or two, and then I would just try and block up these Wolf Riders for as long as I could. Over here, this was pretty awesome. So at the start of the game, I knew that I would have a lot of trouble taking that watchtower with my men-at-arms, but my awesome plan was to just keep spamming the Mountain Chimera on my level 2 Damsel with Lore of Beasts and just try and break through the watchtower with brute force of the Chimera. So I got it off. It's a Vargeist model, but, you know, we're counting as a Chimera. My awesome girlfriend got that for me for our 2-year anniversary, so I'm pretty happy about that. And also to the right of that, you can see here's my dilemma with these friggin' orcs and goblins. They have these Mangler Squigs and these fanatics that do high strength, armor-piercing attacks. So the only real strategy I can think of is to either shoot them with bowmen or just throw a unit of yeomen into them and just let them die, but you know, kill the Manglers and fanatics in the process. But since he killed my yeoman, I didn't have any bowmen on this side of the board. I figured, you know, I might as well just get it over with, so I went ahead and ran my Knight of the Realm unit into the Mangler Squig, and as you can see, all I have left there, I think the wing's blocking one of them. I have my command models left from the Knight of the Realm, which is the banner guy, the champion, and the musician, and my lord and hero. So, I mean, if anybody else has any advice on how to deal with Mangler Squigs, it would be highly appreciated, because I don't really like wasting 6 Knight of the Realm models on just one model like that. Okay, so I guess this is after combat, actually. So I wasn't able to take the watchtower, but my Mountain Chimera did do some good damage. I had the option of either attacking his Battle Standard Bearer or his General, because he had them both in his 10-man party that he could select. Looking back, I probably should have killed the Battle Standard Bearer, but I figured the General, he was more deadly, and his leadership 9 is pretty important for everything else on the board. So I thought, you know, hey, if I can't win by the watchtower, at least I can get a moral victory for myself, winning by points. So I went ahead and thrashed his general, killed him pretty easily with the Mountain Chimera. The men-at-arms just didn't really do a whole lot to everything else, but we lost combat, so we went back an inch, and now it goes to his turn too. So the first thing he does is, since he doesn't want to charge my Pegasus Knights, obviously, he goes ahead and whips his Wolf Riders around to the back of my archers on the left, which I'm okay with. You know, if he wants to waste time on archers, go for it. So there's not a whole lot of other movement besides those Wolf Riders on his turn, because his orc unit's already inside the tower. And the goblin unit's just hanging out in the other building, so not much for him to do. Goes to his magic phase, he dispels the Mountain Chimera, so my damsel's back to her pretty little self on 1 wound. Just plain old human again, which isn't, I'm not too worried about, because this is his turn, so we wouldn't be fighting combat anyway. The only thing is that now on my turn I have to risk a miscast again and to go back to the Mountain Chimera. Then in his shooting phase, he has 2 bolt throwers that I might have forgot to mention were there earlier, and they put a little bit of a hurting on the Knight of the Realm units. He goes ahead and shoots at them, and he kills the Standard Bearer, the regular one, and puts a wound on the BSB and the General as well. So it's times like this you wish you had lower life. So that goes to my turn. My turn 2? Yeah, my turn 2. And first thing I do is move the Pegasus Knights up and over that forest, because if he wants to waste time trying to attack my archers, I'm not going to just, you know, be kited around back there the whole time. They're not worth that much. And I also go ahead and move my archers up into the forest. I couldn't do a swift reform with them, otherwise I would have, because they didn't have a musician, so I couldn't just turn around and try and shoot him, or turn around just so he gets a front charge next turn. But I figure it's my best option here because it'll make him charge into the woods with his wolf riders, dangerous terrain tests and all that. Over here, now here was my plan to deal with that last remaining Mangler Squig. Since I ran into the other one beforehand, I thought that I could use the Amber Spear, which is the Lore of Beasts magic missile spell, on that Mangler Squig there in the middle, try and kill that with the beefed up strength 10 d6 wounds version of it. It's because I know next turn you're just going to aim that one of my Knights of the Realm and they're just going to take a hurting. So, what happened is I got the spell off, he let it go, he didn't really care. I got a 2 to wound, barely, so I barely wounded it, and then on the d6 wounds I rolled a 2. So Mangler Squig has 3 wounds, so that means he's sitting on 1 wound left, but 1 wound is all he needs. And this is an overview of the board after combat. I went ahead and charged back into that building with the men-at-arms. Even with the damsel not mountain chimeraed up, I figured it was still worth a shot with the regular men-at-arms since they have the blessing. But, just kill a couple orcs. So now it goes to, or no, this is my movement up there. So, start of Orc and Goblin turn 3. Not a lot of movement going on because everything that can move is, in a tower or doing something else. So he goes ahead and uses Hand of Gork on his chariots to move them behind my Pegasus Knights. I'm not too concerned about it, but it does set him up for a nice charge on his next turn. Yeah, so I don't have a lot of pictures for this turn. Pretty much nothing significant really happens. Yeah, we keep on fighting. It must have been on my last turn. I went ahead and charged my general into the tower, thinking that his heroic killing blows might be able to get me the BSB, or maybe even the wizard. Unfortunately, he actually didn't make those part of his fighting party. I'm not too read up on the rules for buildings. I never really play Watchtower, so I'm pretty sure that's legal, is that he can choose who he wants to fight, and if he doesn't want his BSB or a general to fight, or his wizard, they don't have to. My men-at-arms took quite a beating that time going into the tower. As you can see, they're only down to 11 models there, including the damsel. I went ahead and backed up my Knight of the Realm unit, or what remains of it, which as you can see is my champion and my BSB with 1 wound left. I went ahead and put them behind the forest because I know in that little Night Goblin unit up top there, he has a couple fanatics. So I'm hoping that they'll just have to go through the forest. But my lord is a little exposed. I also was keeping my Grail Knights back because I don't really know what good they're going to do for me right now. I mean, they can't go into the building, or they can, but they're not very effective at it. I don't want to charge the Night Goblins because they have fanatics. So I just went ahead and kept them behind the forest, so if the fanatics do pop out, they at least die from the terrain. So this is after combat this time. This is his turn. So so this is still that same turn. I was just explaining what happened on my turn before. He went ahead and moved his Night Goblins up after he charged my men-at-arms with the chariot to release his fanatics. Luckily for me, though, none of them rolled higher than 8. There was one right next to the Lord that rolled a 9, or that rolled a 7. Thankfully, none of them actually hit my Lord, which is great because that would have really sucked. The chariots got a corner on my men-at-arms, which is good for me, I think, because it reduces the number of impact hits he'll have. I mean, I only get to attack back once, but their men-at-arms are not gonna. They can only do so much damage. So this is after combat. Man, did I make my ward saves. I mean, if there was ever an argument for the Blessing of the Lady on men-at-arms, this was the game. He got his D6, whatever it was, impact hits, did about 4 or 5 wounds. I only lost 2 guys. I was rolling some serious 6s for those ward saves, so I was pretty happy with that. Because I have the front rank, I'm still steadfast. My general and BSB are still nearby, so I got the reroll on a 9, and they stuck. So after combat, we went ahead and maximized. I'm not really sure how the proper way to do that. We used to play before, we would slide over, but we figured out that wasn't the right way of doing it. So I just kind of went ahead and turned like that to maximize the number of guys in base contact. I mean, we figured it was fair, but if you guys know anything better, go ahead and let me know in the comments. So, my turn now. because all these fanatics and all this crap is running around here, I decide to move my general and what remains of my Knight of the Realm unit into the forest over here. I also went ahead and just marched them up because I didn't want to have to risk a trip test on my BSB because it only has 1 wound left. So now the fanatics, they'll just be flailing about, running into forests and dying. I also went ahead and charged my Grail Knight unit because he moved up his Night Goblins. It gave me a really nice exposed flank into those into the goblins, which, as you can see in this picture here. So I was really happy for this. I mean, Grail Knights with the Lance formation are a force to be reckoned with. You know, you get all the attacks for the guys in the front in the front rank. All the guys in the flanks get their full complement of 2 strength 6 attacks. So I figured I could wipe that unit up pretty easily. But as you can see from the picture, that wasn't really the case. It was actually rather embarrassing for the Grail Knights. I mean, if Warhammer were a real world, I'm kind of hoping that they're ashamed of themselves, because they whiffed all of their attacks, and as you can see in the picture, I only killed about 6 Night Goblins, even with the horse attacks. They were steadfast. They passed their leadership test of 5, which was amazing, and they went ahead and reformed to face me in the front. So now, not only do I lose my Lance formation bonus, but I lose my Lance charging bonus, and things I was really hoping to overrun there because he has the Night Goblin unit in the building up top, and I know that because of this now, my Grail Knight's going to be stuck there. He's going to walk right out of the building and unleash his fanatics on me. Over here, though, in the Chariot Men-at-Arms combat, things are still looking good. We went ahead and fought through the combat a bit more, and man, again, those ward saves, like, they're amazing. I mean, I rolled so many 6s. I hadn't played this guy in a while, and he was getting a little frustrated because it just reminded him about the reasons he hates playing against Bretonnians, because of all our friggin' ward saves. But, you know, that's just how the dice work. I mean, he still has the tower, so, you know, not too much to complain about. Here's just a close-up of that, just showing how awesome my men-at-arms are after combat. So this is his turn, and what I expected to happen totally happened. He took his Night Goblins out of the building and unleashed his fanatics. Thankfully, though, he rolled pretty low this game for his fanatics, which is unusual. And only one of them passed through the unit, but you know that's all he needs to take down some Toughness 3 Grail Knights. So he rolled a good number of wounds on me. I think he got 4 wounds total, which, you know, Strength 6 armor piercing, that means I have a 6-up armor, I think. Yeah, Strength 6, that's -3, so 2 up 3. Yeah, a 6-up armor save plus my 5-up ward save, so, you know, the chances of me saving 4 wounds are pretty slim. But, man, the lady was with me this game. I think it's because the 2 units that had damsels in them were passing all their ward saves. My Grail Knights, there's the dice rolls right there. 2 5s, 2 6s for the ward saves. So all of those were saved, thanks to the blessing of the lady. And because of that, the goblins actually lost combat. They were no longer steadfast, so I decided to let them go. I didn't want to run them down because... Or, no, excuse me, I did run them down. I'm sorry. I thought about not running them down because they were below... Or because they were only leadership 5. They ran away past the BSB and their general. So I went ahead and ran them down. Started my next turn here. Again, sorry about the skipping some phases, but there wasn't a whole lot going on. I went ahead and charged the Grail Knights, which just overran the goblins into the bolt throwers in the back. You know, might as well get some points where you can. Not that it matters for this scenario, but, you know, they gotta at least make up something. Now, over here down at the tower, I was so proud of my men-at-arms. They broke the chariots. You know, all it takes is just to get those. They're strength 4, so all you need is a couple 5s to wound the chariots. They broke them from combat. They ran away. I went ahead and reformed to face the Wolf Riders. Now, this was turn 5, and we rolled the dice at the end of turn 5, and the game ended. So here's a look over the board. I'm sorry, that was the end of my turn, so this is the start of his turn. He rallied his chariot. This is right when we realized, hey, it was turn 5, maybe we should roll the dice to find out if the game's over. And it was. So you can see on the left, the chariots did rally, you know, not too concerned about it. He moved his Wolf Riders around my men-at-arms. Up top, there's that big block of orcs, but they're not actually there. They're the ones in the tower. My Pegasus Knights, sorry, there's no pictures of them before this, but they were able to clear out the rest of that rock lobber over there, and they were slowly, or quickly, as relatively speaking, making their way across the battlefield. Grail Knights destroyed the first of the bolt throwers and reformed to face the second one. My champion is in the forest along with my lord. The BSB actually died from one of the bolt thrower shots, so he was able to get some points there. I went ahead and put the champion in front of the lord to give him some cover in case there was another turn. And other than that, his goblins are just kind of hanging out. The fanatics and mangler squiggers the mangler squiggers are both dead. The fanatics are just kind of running about, and he controls the watchtower. So just for funsies, we went ahead and added up the points of just to see who would have won points-wise. He only actually, he actually didn't kill a whole lot of my units. He killed the yeoman, he killed the trebuchet, two units of bowmen, my battle standard bearer. But other than that, I still had my champion from the Knights of the Realm alive, so that's full points for that unit. My lord was still alive, my Grail Knights, which is where most of my points were still alive. The men-at-arms, even though there was only 4 left, they still count for full points. Both my wizards were still alive. My Pegasus Knights were all alive. And I had killed his general, some other goblin units, a lot of his fanatics, some other things. So actually, when it came to it, I killed about 750 points of his. He killed about 300 of mine. So I took some solace in that it was, points-wise, it was a victory, but he, of course, had the watchtower. But, I expected that. I wasn't really thinking that I was going to win Watchtower with Bretonia against 50 orcs. But anyway, it was a great game. If I was to do it again, things I might have done differently. I wouldn't have ran my Knight of the Realm unit into the Mangler Squig. That was probably pretty stupid because that killed the entire most of the unit anyway, which could have been used a lot more effectively. I probably should have just waited and tried shooting some more Amber Spears at it, but I was afraid that on his next turn he would be able to charge me with it and do a whole bunch of damage to my knights. So again, if you guys have any better suggestions of how to take care of Mangler Squigs, please let me know because I get sick of them. I would have done the same strategy with my men-at-arms and the damsel, trying to transform into a chimera every turn. The only thing was, after my first turn magic phase, my magic phase were really low dice, like 4 to 6 dice. And I felt those dice were better used on casting Amber Spears and other try-to buffs, trying to get those off. So I wasn't able to get the Chimera as often as I would have liked. The Pegasus Knights, I ran them around a little bit too much, I think. They're supposed to get across the battlefield quickly, but the thing is, I was afraid of those chariots. Like I said, this guy's a really good player, so he and I have played a lot, and he always plays Orcs or High Elves. I'm always Bretonia, so he knows all the tricks I have in my book. So he's really good at kiting my Pegasus Knights and working against my army's weaknesses. But that's okay. I don't mind that. It makes it for a pretty competitive game. So yeah, I would have moved the Pegasus Knights a bit more aggressively, I think. I would have taken more men-at-arms. And the Grail Knights, yeah, I'm not really sure what I should have done with those, because, they would have just gotten chewed up by fanatics if they were a bit more aggressive. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, all thanks go to OneSpitten360 and Mobius Primal for the inspiration on these videos. I never would have done this if it weren't for them. So for all you other Bretonian players, keep on keeping on. Our book's, coming one of these days. It has to. So, yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed it.